Hello everyone. Today we are going to review Rambo 3. What's that? Sorry, it's popping up on my phone, but I don't need to. I need to go to Rambo 3 so I can talk about it. So anyhow, we start off with Rambo in Thailand, and this takes place like right after the second movie. So he's in Thailand. He's basically settled all the way into Thailand now after the mission he had to do there. And then obviously Troutman comes back and brings him in again, tells him there's a mission to do in Afghanistan to keep the Russians, the Russians out from invading Afghanistan. And the mission goes sideways when Troutman is captured, leaving Afghanistan to go back to America. He is captured by the Russians, and so the mission goes from keeping the Soviets from invading to Rambo trying to save Troutman himself. And obviously along the way, he runs into quite a few near-death situations, I would say, in this one, more than some of the other movies. And one thing I really wanted to touch on was the use of the explosive tip arrows, because that was just absolutely awesome. And they did use it in the second one, and I believe the second movie probably had the more obvious iconic scene where he's in the river and he's just shooting the guys with the explosive arrows, and the one scene was him just like pulling back the bow, and the guy goes to shoot and he shoots back at him and dead on hits him and just blows him up. So yeah, I don't really know where he got the bow and arrow in this movie, to be completely honest, because I don't remember ever seeing him with it. So it just seems to be one of those weapons that kind of just comes out of nowhere. But anyhow, or at least it seemed like that in this movie. Maybe he had it with him at some point and I just didn't notice, but I'm pretty sure he only had his knife with him in this movie for most of it, other than obviously the guns that he grabs along the way. And he does end up building a relationship with this kid along the way. And Kurtwood Smith is also one of the guys in this who plays Griggs, who is also Red from that 70s show, if anybody has ever seen that. And I don't know if it'll say the name of the kid here. I can't find a picture of him. He wasn't here. Anyway, he ends up building this relationship with this kid, and it might have been the boy's father. But anyhow, they help him out along the way until he tells them to obviously... they are traveling to Pakistan, so they're helping him out along the way until finally the boy ends up getting injured in one of the firefights with the Soviets. The first time Rambo tries to break into the camp to obviously free Troutman, which doesn't go as according to plan. So then he tells the boy and the man that he's with to leave. They go to Pakistan, and he goes back to save Troutman, or tried to save Troutman a second time. They do end up making it out, and then one of the most probably, I would say, because this was probably supposed to be the last film, obviously at the time, this would have been the last Rambo film that was probably ever supposed to be made. So, there's this huge epic like battle scene at the end where it's just him, Troutman, and it looks like they're about to meet their end, and then all of a sudden the rebels come back and do enough damage that Troutman and Rambo can pinch them from the other side. And Rambo is just like a one-man army. He kind of reminds me of the Punisher. Just like that whole one-man army mentality thing, where he can pretty much take anybody out, and even though he's in so many near-death situations, he somehow always makes it out of it alive, regardless of how close he was to death. And I don't think he really cares. He obviously doesn't care if he dies, because he says that he would die for his own country, so... And obviously the people that he cares about, he would die for them too. So I'm not really sure where him and Troutman were going at the end of the movie, but obviously I can't remember where the next movie is set, but I will probably watch it here. There's something downloaded on my Xbox right now, so I didn't want to try and watch it because sometimes it just freezes, depending on what's downloading. But it's almost done now, so. But anyhow, I'm not really sure where they were going, and I'm not really sure if Rambo's going to continue. It didn't look like he was going to continue with what he was doing anyway, but I'm sure somehow he'll get pulled back into something, right? I just can't remember how the story ties in to where he is in the next movie. I'm kind of foggy on that one, because I've only watched it once or twice, because I think the end scene just kind of made me go, whoa, like it was so bloody. And I'm a fan of action movies and gore and stuff, but yeah, I remember it being really, really brutal, so I guess we'll have to watch it again and see what happens, just to kind of remember. Sorry, nose is itchy. Yeah, okay. What else could I say about the movie? Gone through the final battle scene, right. Touching on that a little bit. So Rambo is able to get into this tank, and he he actually plays chicken with the Soviet leader, who is in a helicopter. And the tank hits the helicopter, and the helicopter just blows into like just pieces. And somehow, I mean, I guess the tank would be strong enough maybe to hold together. I'm not sure it would have held together quite as well as it did in the movie. But I mean, the tank is just a massive solid steel, so. And I know the Soviets were well known for their building their tanks, as far as I know, as in history anyway. They were great tank builders, let's just say that much. Otherwise, they wouldn't have caused as much destruction and damage as they did back in the older wars, like World War I and World War II. So yeah, obviously Rambo and Troutman make it out alive. They're able to save the people of Afghanistan from the Russians, at least for the time being. It would have kind of been interesting to see where this movie series could have gone if they just continued making Rambo movies through the 90s, because this could have been like a continued series right through the 90s into the 2000s. I know there's only 5 movies, but there could have probably been like 6 or 7, right? Maybe even 8 with the way it's gone so far. Who knows? We might get another one. It would be kind of interesting to see, because I know First Blood had 2 parts, so it'd be interesting to see a Last Blood Part 2. That would be something that I would actually enjoy. And maybe have him, I don't know, whether it would be a good movie series to pass on the torch to a younger character or not. I don't know, give me your thoughts on that in the comments down below. And also, my rating for this movie, it kind of started off, I almost thought a little bit slower, but it did have a very iconic scene at the beginning, obviously, with him doing the stick fighting, and Troutman coming to find him again to bring him back into his old ways. But it just felt, I don't know, to me it felt a little stale, just because it had already been done, and the movie kind of had me losing interest in the beginning, but then the action kind of brought it. I felt like this one had a bit of a slower start. It was kind of almost like, if you've ever seen the Taken movies, it was almost like that's the direction they were taking it. Obviously, the Taken movies were made years after Rambo, but so I guess you could say maybe Taken had some inspiration from this. I don't really know. 2 totally different movies, but hey, I guess anybody can grab inspiration from anything, right? But I would say this was one of the movies that definitely paved the way for action films of the future, that is for sure. Especially the standalone person who does it all on their own without any help from anybody whatsoever. So like Terminator doesn't really have, it's kind of the same idea, I guess. Obviously Punisher, same sort of idea. I don't know what other characters kind of go it alone as far as hero mentality. Sorry, I have to pull that away. So yeah, I would give this movie, I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as the first 2. I would say the second one was probably my favorite one, for sure. And yeah, so I'll give this a 7 out of 10. It was still good action-wise. I still highly recommend going to see it if you haven't seen it. So please like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this film if you have seen it. And if not, please go watch the Rambo series because it's still worth the watch for sure. Oh. And yeah, that's all I have to say for this film, so I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.